Hi, I'm Josh Brown. We are live from the compound to play our favorite game. What are your thoughts? Michael Batnick is with me as always. He doesn't know what I'm going to ask him. I don't know what he's going to ask me. Stick around. Let's see what's going on. All right, Mike, I want to ask you about something that you mentioned on your podcast. I shared this link with you because I couldn't believe it was real. There was a research paper about alphabeticity in mutual fund selection, basically saying that, I think it was in 401k plans, the funds that have a name starting with A, B, C, D were more likely to be selected by investors than fund names at the back of the alphabet. And that's, like, to me, just one of a million examples where people really just have so many problems investing correctly. I mean, do you see it that way?
Yeah. So,
well, I guess, like, how many more of those things are there? Like, isn't it just like an endless amount of things that can go wrong that way, starting with just listing the names of funds alphabetically?
Yeah, it's not surprising, not terribly surprising.
So why doesn't every mutual fund just start off like AAA Mutual Fund Incorporated, if that's the, I don't know. I just looked at that and I was like, there is just no way people can do this for themselves correctly. Is that like too pessimistic of a conclusion when you see something so silly?
Well, I think a relatively informed investor can allocate their 401k reasonably well. But if you don't know anything about finance, like if you're just opening up, you're like,
yeah,
pick
Aardvark Mutual Fund. It's
yeah, like, lacking any knowledge at all. It's pretty challenging.
All right, what do you got?
All right, so on The Ringer a few weeks ago, Bill Simmons or somebody made the point that there's so much turnover with NFL GMs. I'm sorry, with NFL coaches.
Right.
And very little turnover with GMs relative to how often coaches are turning over.
Right.
So I was thinking that NFL general managers are sort of like old school stockbrokers that were firing mutual fund managers left and right.
Oh, so okay. So what would be the corollary though with like investing? Like the advisors stay the same or the consultants, but they switch the funds out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in other words,
oh, that guy didn't get the job done.
But does the GM hire the coach always?
Yeah, I mean the owner has to sign off on it, but
it's the GM decision. Yeah, and then how involved is the GM in personnel decisions at the player level? I bet it's different on every team. So
no, highly. I mean contractually and stuff, like highly involved.
Right. So what? So okay. So what? So why does the Giants coach, for example, get a pass?
Well, Jerry Reese was the GM for years and years with just not a carousel of coaches, but certainly, turnover on the roster.
So does Gettleman get not enough heat, and the coach can slide on the Giants, or
just any coaches? Yeah,
any coach. Yeah, that's interesting. So I used to work with a firm that for separate accounts, they were like, we are the manager of managers. That was the whole shtick, and they really did work hard. They knew all of the separate account managers really well. Like they knew who the PMs are, how long they've been in business. Like they would do these huge deep dives into the culture of these firms, and it never outperformed. And so for my clients, like we'd be like, all right, the index did this, they did that. And they would just swap out. They would say, oh, this emerging markets manager is now on probation with us in a 90-day period. It's like, when do you fire yourself? You're not good at this. And they never would. Of course, they never would. So I see what you're saying. I guess that's an agent. What do they call it? Principal agent problem? Yeah, I don't think you can do anything about it. It's just going to be the way it is forever in finance and probably in football. I wanted to ask you about a desert island technical indicator. Last week we had Andy Thrasher up in the office talking about how so many people look at breadth and they read it wrong. But I was curious, is there, like, if you had one indicator besides price and it was the only thing you could ever make judgment calls on the market by, what would you use?
I would use the simplest derivative of price, which is just a moving average.
So what, 200-day simple moving average?
Sure.
Why?
Because that is the closest thing to price.
So really price trumps everything for you?
If I was on a desert island, yeah.
And so you wouldn't even care what's going on with the underlying stocks in the average. It would just be price and then a derivative of price.
How many desert island means you get one thing.
And that's the one.
That's it.
Okay. And what do you think your Sharpe ratio would be if you just had that?
0.
All right, go ahead.
Netflix.
Uh,
Have you ever seen such a thing? Up 45% off the lows in 12 sessions?
yeah,
What's going on?
I mentioned this on TV the other day. It's bananas. And I don't even think the
You
short...
think it's Bird Box related?
People are saying it was a short squeeze, but I don't even think it has as many shorts in it as it used to.
No way. I can check this right now.
Like this can't... I don't think it's one of those 30% short interest names anymore. It hasn't been for years. So the only thing that I can think of is that it was one of the more oversold technology names. But then I was reading some of the articles about the Netflix bounce, and there were people literally talking about...
Percent of shares outstanding short is 3%.
It's nothing. There were people literally talking about the Golden Globes wins
What?
as being the... I swear. It was saying like Netflix won X number of Golden Globes, and that had something to do with the stock price. I don't know. Could that be? Have you ever heard anything like that?
So it was down. I mean, it did get destroyed, relatively speaking. It was in a 40% drawdown, and it was still like very positive on the year, I believe.
Even having been destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just... I don't think a lot of stocks did that. I think Netflix is a really outlier.
This is like not a small company though. What was it, like $670 billion at the lowest? Maybe, I don't know. I'm making that up, but it was up 45% in 12 days.
Yeah. I guess...
Did you catch the bottom?
No, it's the only one I didn't buy. I bought Amazon 35% off its high. I bought Google. I don't like Netflix or Facebook. I don't know why. I just didn't buy either one.
Hashtag process.
All right, so I want to ask you about the result of the playoffs this weekend, speaking of football.
Okay.
I feel, and I want to ask you if you feel the same, I feel like the right 4 teams won. Like, this is who should, like, just based on what went on all season, this is who should be there.
Well, they were all the favorites, so you're not exactly going out on a limb there.
But that's my point. There weren't any flukes, and I don't want there to be flukes.
I like flukes.
You did? Why? Because it's a surprise?
I was rooting for the Chargers.
I was rooting for the Chargers because I hate the Patriots, but they deserve to be. Brady might have had one of the best games of his year. Yeah, but he might have had one of the best games of his life.
Yeah, he played amazing.
So I feel like the playoffs this late without Kansas City would have been unjust. I don't know why I feel that way. I feel Breeze should be there right now, based on how he played and how the team played. So I guess I'm satisfied.
I'm very satisfied that the Cowboys and Eagles lost. I actually felt
that was the best part of the weekend for me.
I feel bad for Alshon Jeffrey. I don't really feel bad for Eagles fans, but that was brutal.
It's gross. But yeah, that was the highlight for me. Was no Cowboys, no Eagles in the Super Bowl this year. It's enough already. The Cowboys may never get back there again. The Eagles just were there last year. I don't know. I feel like Phil Rivers is cursed.
It's Phillip.
Yeah, but he's not meant to be in that game. In the big game. I don't know. Something always seems to go wrong for him.
Well, as a Giant fan, I'm happy to know that the Patriots own the Chargers and Steelers, but the Giants.
Well, we'll get a nice draft pick.
So what else do I? My last one. Oh no, I have 2 more. All right. Have you taken a look at new 52-week highs in the S&P 500? Do you know what's going on there?
No.
Let me tell you.
There aren't any.
0.
Yeah, you told me that.
0 for like a few weeks, which is pretty remarkable.
So not one company has made a new 52-week high since December, you told me?
Early December. The last time something like that happened was in 2009 when you had like the huge bounce, but it came from such depressed levels that stocks were still, even with the giant bounce, below their 52-week high.
And these aren't all-time highs. These are just one-year highs. That's actually pretty remarkable.
Right?
I think.
So,
what are the stocks that are closest? Are they?
I forget. I looked.
They must be healthcare stocks.
I don't remember.
Okay. Like I feel like healthcare.
Anyway, the point. I guess my point. The point is that like right now, in terms of who has the upper hand, the Bulls or the Bears. How could you make? I mean, I don't know. I think it's pretty neutral. I would still give it to the Bears, but.
So you know what's interesting. This is a question of like how you view the markets, because when you see like at the depth of the lows, you saw like no stocks above their 50-day.
Yeah.
If you're like a momentum person, you're like, I'm staying away from this market.
Yeah.
Nothing's working. But if you're not a momentum person, you're like, wow, that's a washout. This is as bad as it gets. You got to buy them here. And I don't know if both can be right. Maybe sometimes one is right.
Well, both could be right, just depending on what type of trader you are,
right?
Investor you are.
All right, here's my last
But
one.
it'll be funny. We could be making like new highs, and and the same people that said this is not how stocks bottom,
Yeah.
will still be like, this is not how stocks bottom.
This is not how stocks top, they'll say, though.
Yeah.
They'll say, oh, new highs are bullish.
I'm confused.
Yeah. I want to ask you about Red Notice because I just finished it a week ago. And
Actually, hold on. Before you get into that, there's a headline just now. Russia is preparing an investment in Bitcoin to replace the U.S. dollar as the reserve currency in a bid to tackle U.S. sanctions. Swear to God. This is from the Telegraph.
So Bitcoin could be
All right, so red
up
notice.
5,000 points. Just in relation to how the investment markets work, I thought it was like one of the best books about international investing I've ever read, even though that's not the point of the book. Just how he was willing in the 1990s to go into these Eastern European countries and analyze companies and find companies that were selling at one times cash flow.
So there used to be like a million stones that were left unturned.
Yes.
And now it's harder to find those companies.
I don't think that exists because there are ETFs that are like you could just buy all of the companies.
I thought that book, it was like a John Grisham novel, right?
It was incredible. But I just thought, like, from an investor's perspective, it's like, oh, yeah. That's why he was the top performing hedge fund in the world. Because he was literally going to Siberia.
Yeah, there was nobody else there.
He was going to meet with steel mill executives who had never seen a balance sheet and figuring out how much money they were making. And nobody would ever take that personal risk to do that. So that's how you make 1,000%.
All right, last one. I don't remember when I thought of this, but it came up again in my mind. Did you ever make the connection that there's the Chicago Bulls and the Chicago Bears?
No. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. Do you?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Why? Were the teams formed in the same time?
I don't know.
So then where did the Blackhawks come from?
They've both been around for a while. I think a Blackhawk is a technical term for something else.
So, all right, I don't know, because then there are other Bears in other sports, and there's,
but
there's
Chicago
the Cubs
is
in
like
baseball. That's what it comes
financial
from.
hub.
No, because it's more to do with the Chicago Cubs being the baseball team.
How do you know?
Because they're Bear Cubs. Look at the logo, and they always were.
But what about the Bulls?
Why is the basketball team the Bulls? I don't know. That's not as old of a team as the Bears.
You don't think they were named the Bulls because of the Bears?
When do you think they were professional basketball teams?
Oh wait,
from?
I have an idea.
What?
Maybe they're the Bulls because Chicago's a big steak place.
Maybe there's a trade there that when the Bears have a better season in the NFL than the Bulls have in the NBA,
There could be something.
it's bearish or bullish. Okay, I think that's something we have to investigate. Let us know what you think of these topics. Leave us comment in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you're feeling these videos, go ahead and smash that like button. We will see you soon.